Soraka and Senna have been my favourite picks since they first came out, and there's a reason why. I'm a big fan of their insane early game, and I've found a way that has allowed me to easily climb the ranks whenever I want. So in this video, you're going to learn why bot lane is actually a 1v1, and how a master tier player uses this. Let's dive straight into it. So first example is going to be Kai'Sa and Tahm Kench. For our level 1, the goal is to dodge Tahm Kench's tongue and not be isolated Q by Kai'Sa. And while we're doing this, we're looking for a 1v1. So immediately when Kai'Sa walks into lane, I know 9 times out of 10 that she'll want to get the first 3 minions with her Q. And Tahm Kench will also try to fish a Q on me, so using a bit of mechanics, I can get some pressure by dodging his Q. Now I have the choice of Q autoing one of them. To me, this is the perfect 1v1 trade that I could have gotten in this lane. How is it a 1v1? Well, think of it like this. When Tahm Kench uses his Q, he no longer has a ranged option, reducing his effective range to that of his auto attacks. That means the area of play that I have now has increased, and I can look for more opportunities. So even though Tahm Kench is right in front of me, I have enough time to perform 2 quick actions and step out of Tahm Kench's effective range, making it a short 1v1 trade with me and Kai'Sa. Looking at it again, we can create the 1v1 scenario by using their effective range. We always want to make sure that we're only in one person's effective range before we do any kind of trade. The reason 1v1s work so well for Soraka and Senna in particular is because of their self-healing capabilities. Being able to trade health with the ADC and get it back is one of the perks of playing sustained champions. So now the question is, how do we set up for the 1v1 or make a favourable fight in our lane? One of the positioning tricks you may have already seen in other videos is the parallel positioning. The general rule of thumb is to always form a parallel line between all 4 players, but it's not that good on its own and it's a very generic guideline. So let me show you this example of a game I played on stream, and I want you to try and figure out what the mistake was and by which player. Hopefully you could easily tell that Janna was the one making the mistake. The result makes it really obvious. There is a world where some support players, including yourself, don't capitalize on this mistake. So my job here is to show you how to spot that mistake and then use it to your advantage. And we're going to go over 2 key mistakes in this clip. So mistake number 1, breaking the parallel rule. Notice how far Ashe is when Janna decides to take a fight. When we draw 2 lines between each team, you will see that we can form a much smaller triangle between Caitlyn, Soraka and Janna, which is our side, than when we can draw it between their ADC. This is what happens when you position in front of your ADC or behind them. To avoid these triangles, you ideally want to be to the side of your ADC, and moving back and forward based on what the enemy support or ADC does. You're really trying to mirror them, and by doing that, you automatically do the parallel rule. So mistake number 2. I would say that a lot of people actually don't consider this. Our duo partner in bot lane won't always be on the same page as us, even if our duo queued, and most times you're not. So as much as something might be the correct play, it might not matter if your ADC isn't on the same page. Look at Ashe and tell me what you think she wants to do right now. If you said farm the low health minions, you'd probably be right. Taking a trade while our ADC is farming creeps means that if the enemy ADC decides to engage with us as well, we can't count on Ashe to be ready. So the trick here is to position ourselves in a way which, even if our ADC is farming, the enemy ADC is forced to respect our moving trading dummies' non-existent threat. Another way of thinking about it is we should always take a look at what our ADC is doing before we look for any kind of trade or all in. This way you'll never have that issue where your ADC doesn't follow up, and you'll never make this positioning mistake. A rule I suggest to fix this would be to say, never go more than 2 minions ahead of your ADC. This will limit some of your gameplay, but for someone who isn't that great at positioning already, this would be an amazing starting point. By doing this, you can actually make use of their positioning and you won't be overstepping nearly as much. Now I know it sounds like I'm not even talking about the main concept today, which is 1v1 in the bot lane. But actually, I am. When we perform parallel positioning, use effective ranges, and adapt to our ADC, this is actually done simultaneously when you go for 1v1s. So let's talk about another way to easily perform 1v1s. What you're going to want to do is to switch the target that you're looking at. Most players will concentrate their attention to 1 or 2 of the enemy players. However, you can actually become even better by looking at your own character. Sounds confusing, doesn't it? Essentially what you want to do is watch your effective range. Now, your focus point is really who is the closest person to this line. or in other words, who is about to enter it. This way, when two people are immediately close to your range, you are aware that it is a bad trade and you can fix your positioning by going backwards. Likewise, you can improve your positioning by potentially going forward when someone is isolated or near your range, or if no one's in your range. This is important. A lot of my coaching clients have an issue with giving up too much space, and not to say that I'm guilty of it either, but your focus in laning phase should be to pressure as much as possible. That means taking up as much space as possible. And by using this 1v1 mentality, you're easily able to dictate the spacing of the bot lane and win lane that way, especially in lower elo. I'm definitely a master tier player, and I did not miss that one. Let's see how we can use this ideology to review some of my gameplay as a Masters player trying to perform 1v1s in Diamond to Master tier. In this clip of me versus Janna, I'm patiently watching Janna as my primary target, but I'm also keeping aware of my range circle. So the moment I see two people near my range circle, I think twice about moving up for a trade. As soon as Varus stops threatening my range circle, I'm very happy to 1v1 the Janna, as I know I will come out on top. Even if it was the other way around and I was 1v1ing Varus at level 1, I'm still happy to do the trade. No matter what type of lane you're playing in bot lane, this 1v1 mentality really goes a long way to help you succeed as Senna Soraka, simply because you win most 1v1s in the game with proper spacing. I'm hoping these examples of gameplay show you exactly how we can effectively 1v1 in the bot lane. These cover a ton of different skills that can be implemented in a very simple manner, but me personally, I think the point about starting to watch the circle around your character is probably the best starting point at getting better at isolating 1v1s. And even though this video is for Soraka Senna, it works on any sustained champions or even mages. So I'm going to quickly interrupt you here in the middle of the video and just hear what I have to say. So I've only recently just decided this, but my goal for this year is to hit 1000 subscribers. And I'm really hoping if you guys get value out of this video, it'd help me an absolute ton if you give it a like and a subscribe. It'd really get me out there in the algorithm and continue making quality content, as well as do giveaways on coaching, RP and all sorts of other stuff. As always, if you have something you want to see, please leave a comment down below. Before we finish up the video, let's summarize what you can do next. In this video, a lot of concepts were thrown around, but here's where you're going to want to focus up, because these next steps are going to help you get better at all of them. So here's the list of main concepts we're trying to add to our repertoire or gameplay. I'm not going to read them out, you can simply pause the video and check them out. The very first step you're going to do is to add the range circle to your skills. This is essentially the effective range I showed throughout the video. To do this, you're going to enter your next 3 games, and in the laning phase, your full focus will be on maintaining a small gap between this circle and your opponents, preferably one-on-one. Do this while adding in trades here and there, but still pay attention to the circle as you're trading, because you don't want to get caught off when someone else enters it. It's going to be hard, but it's so worth the mental strain. Expect to be tired after this training, or you've done it completely wrong, unless you're already used to it, of course. As you get better at this, you'll want to add in the enemy's range circles as well, as this can change based on the champion. If you're versing something like Caitlyn who has more range, then you'll have to respect them a little bit more. You'll want to imagine their range circles and start adjusting based on how big they are, and then use yours to challenge that. Remember that if they use key abilities, their effective range usually becomes smaller, meaning this could actually be a timing for you to start challenging. The list of skills you can add in really goes so much further in depth, but these 2 main concepts are going to be your primary focus points. I'm always free to ask questions if you join my Discord, but otherwise I really hope you enjoyed. Give the video a like and subscribe to my channel. Let's make it to 1000 together.